Billy here. Sorry, I did it again. I ran out of memory. I fixed it. Now we got memory, and we're going to continue our conversation. We were talking about language. We don't want to talk about that. We got more important stuff to talk about here. We want to talk about... Who do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about Jessica Rose.
Jessica Rose. You need to know about Jessica Rose. Barb sent me a video. What? I can't see her name?
Go ahead.
Start over again? Are you serious?
I'm serious.
There's billions of Barbs, really.
I know.
Okay. I think you're a little too paranoid, but that's okay. Let's start over.
Thank you, doctor.
I'll leave that in. That's gold. Jessica Rose. She, the mystery woman, sent me a link, and it was brilliant. You need to, I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put it right in a link. So I'm going to put a bunch of links, but you really need to watch that one. Because this Jessica Rose is a highly credentialed doctor. Doesn't she have several doctoral degrees? And she's articulate and she's passionate, really passionate. Yeah. She'll give you an earful because she's tired of this stuff. What are your impressions?
And that her career was put on hold when this, like many people, and when this bullshit started. So what else is she going to do? She's going to turn her talents and her skills into researching.
Spends all her time researching this stuff and can tell you what her results are. And they blackball her and say she's, it needs to see a psychiatrist because you're going against the system. I look at that as gravitas when somebody gives up their career to tell the truth about something. But the
she
system,
had no choice.
Well, she could have lied and gone along with the system, couldn't she?
Well, she would have had to get the shots.
Oh, that too. A lot of them did.
She's up in Canada.
Oh yeah, behind the Mabel curtain.
So, but since one of her degrees is in, oh Christ, all her degrees have just prepared her for this moment in time.
Research. I don't remember all of them, but they all lined up with exactly what she's doing.
Exactly. Like molecular biology and this and this and this. So if there's anybody who is truly well credentialed to tear this shit apart, it is her. And she just went after it with a vengeance. And
I'm glad. And you'd be glad too. You need to watch the videos. You need to check her out anytime you see her interviewed anywhere. And she's not the only one. There are lots of them that gave their careers up, doctors that gave their careers up. And like I said, that gives veracity to their integrity and makes you maybe want to stop and listen to them. They think it's important enough to give their career up. And yet the system people, well, they'll say whatever they're told to say by, the pharmaceutical companies, and you're going to listen to them because they still got their credentials and they still got their job. That's a really stupid decision people make.
Well, I'm not the same like the people who make decisions just to, I only have a couple of years till I retire and I can get my pension. I'm only going to sell my soul for a couple more years. Then when I get my pension, then I can be a real good person.
You won't get your pension. You won't get your pension. Relying on the American Social Security system, that's pretty stupid, really. I don't think there's going to be anything there for anybody, even aside from all this stuff. They've been stealing it all these years. They've helped themselves to it. They put it in the general fund and they made it disappear.
Right.
I've paid at least $140,000, I think. They send you the ticket telling you how much Social Security tax you've paid, and then it's matched. And if it's a match, it's more than that. But I don't expect to get a penny of it ever because they keep raising the retirement age. In Europe, they've already locked up people's IRAs. They socialized them. Private IRAs, well, they'll just socialize them, put them in the system.
See, that's what I've tried. I know what I've tried to tell people. But again, it's like when it happens in some of these other smaller countries, to me, that's just a test run.
It's the model. They prove different ways of doing it, and then decide on one and then do it over.
They try this here. They learn a little bit something. They try to They learn because they got to be,
That's applicable to everything.
So I'm like,
diversity.
It's gonna happen here, but I'm no.
Never count on it.
Oh, what am I? You're paranoid.
Jessica Rose. Does she have any sort of foundation or any sort of way to support? Is she just living on her savings, or does she have some way to in her? Did you notice anything on her websites where people can actually? It pays when you find somebody like this and you're able. Better investment than Social Security is to get behind these people. I'm serious about it. It's amazing how many people love what you do. They're enthusiastic about it, but they won't give you a freaking dime. A lot of people can't, but still they'll watch Netflix and they'll pay for their cable bill and pay for poison. Pay for truth. It's a better investment.
So, no, I'm not aware of anything that she has.
If I find something, I'll put it in here. I'm sure there's probably something. A lot of people have to live on this stuff now.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. Well, same thing for, the Qantas pilot.
Mm-hmm. Whatever his name was.
Well, I'm pretty sure it was Gordon Hood. I'm fairly certain it was Gordon Hood. So he's, so what? How long ago was that he walked away from being a pilot?
He was a few years away from retirement, if I remember correctly, and he had lost. He's going to lose everything, and he was heavy duty. I mean, he was. I guess they have ranks that they go through, and he was pretty upper level. He's a few steps away from retirement, 2 years, I think.
I think so.
He walked away from it because he had integrity, and he didn't want to get the unspeakable thing.
Well, but again, he did a little bit of. I hesitate to use the word research. That seems to be that word seems to be a trigger for some people.
They want Fauci to do it for them.
No. Well, yeah, because some, I'll say maybe educated above her intelligence, twat waffle, had come up several 6 months, 7, whatever, and unless you're taking apart these studies and doing the numbers and blah blah blah, and I'm like, you've not done any research. And people that I know shared whatever the twat waffle wrote out, and other people I know were liking it, and yeah, you're not doing research and I'm like, I'm not trying to write a fucking dissertation in scientific studies. Apparently, if you're not tearing it all apart and running the numbers on your own and graphing and stuff like this, that what you're doing is not considered research. So for me to go onto my page and say, well, I was doing some research, probably a handful of people would be like, you're not doing any research at all. That word seems to be a trigger for some people, because apparently you can't read something and it doesn't set off bells and things it doesn't ring true.
The word encompasses a broad range of research, though. I mean, you can research as, like you said, just looking into things and reading things. Does that qualify as the word research? If not, what do you call it? Looking into things. Where do we draw the line between looking into things and research?
Right.
You have to go get the samples and get licenses and biolabs and a molecular or electronic microscope and all that stuff, and go into all of it yourself and start at first principles. No, that's not necessary. You go to the stuff that they go by. They have to print the stuff that they go by, except, of course, that's locked up by copyright by pharmaceutical companies that you're not allowed to look at. But other than that, you can look at the stuff that they look at and read it, and then you see logical inconsistencies in
exactly.
it. That's research enough for me.
Their own words.
And you see the motive behind it, too. It's profit. When you see... So where did I see that? Just last night, I think. Someone explained, and I posted it I'll try to find that and put it here too. Someone explained, what was it? A scientist. Okay, this is about a different subject, but it's the same principle. Global warming. Somebody was talking about the consensus on global warming. There was a man on BBC of all places. You've seen that. And they said, but there's a consensus. There's 99% of the scientists live in global warming. There's a consensus. And the man that knew his stuff, actually, is the guy that started the Weather Channel in England, I think. Or maybe it was the Weather Channel here. The band that invented the Weather Channel, he said, listen, those 99% don't get any funding if they disagree with it.
Right.
That's why they're touted as scientists.
That's not science.
That
because
doesn't skew things.
Science is not about consensus. It's
Indeed, it's
facts.
about fact. But not only that, they get money to come to a certain conclusion.
Right.
It's obvious. It's right there on paper. You could look at the documents. That's the fact. And then you're going to go with that. We just did some research there. And it's the same thing with the pharmaceutical companies. If you disagree with them, well, you're not counted.
Right.
You don't get any funding.
Right. And that's important.
That's the biggest motivation for a lot of people. People sell their grandmother out for funding. That kind of funding they get. You'd be surprised how many people sell their grandmother out.
I don't think I would be. I don't think I would be, because I see what they're willing to do.
Okay, most people would be surprised.
For a lot less, because just the other day, 4 individual men, separate from each other, 4 of them I see masked up.
Oh, yeah.
In Walmart.
And there's no reason to be.
Crying out loud. And I'm looking going, what the hell is wrong with
Things they choose to believe despite all the evidence and despite what their lying eyes tell them. It was fear. Do they look fearful? Do you think it's fear still?
I do think it's still fear.
Still fear after all this time and after all we've seen. When it first started, I was working in Tennessee and I'd have to go to Walmart to buy things. And I'd walk in there. Everybody's wearing a mask. I'd walk around a corner. And this happened again and again. This is repeated. I go around a corner and somebody be coming the other way and you don't see each other. They get around the corner and they do this. They go, I see their eyes. Their face is covered with a great big face diaper. But I see those eyes and they go, the eyes get big and they actually run away from me. I found that really disturbing. I was tempted to chase them around and stuff, but I didn't do that. But I'm just funny that way. I want to divest people of their stupid ideas and their phony fears, but it's not a good idea to do that by force. Maybe it is, but over and over and over again, I see that look.
And yet, how many videos were out there about a few masked people together harassing an unmasked?
Oh yeah. Yeah. They thought they were doing a public service.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't chase people down just to laugh at them and stuff, but there were masked people chasing us down for not being masked.
And they weren't doing it just,
because they felt important. They felt like freaking heroes, by God. Yeah, okay. Here's a little thing. This is a little tip from Uncle Bildy. If you're enforcing social pressure and complying with social pressure and forcing other people to comply with social pressure, you're not a hero. Heroes always go against social pressure. Social pressure and money, they're on your side. You're not a hero. Believe me, you're not. That was free. You can have that.
I mean, I can remember with reading different books, maybe from teens on, even watching movies from teens on, and I'm not going to cite a specific one, where I would question myself and say, if I were in that position, would I have the courage to stand against whatever it was?
Everybody, in most stories.
Against everybody.
Again, you have to stand against the whole system and everybody, the bully and everything. I mean, You don't have any
Every
backup.
story doesn't make me feel that way, though. Everything that I've read doesn't ever make me feel. Some things made me. And I feel like this has been a test, and so I know, yes, I will stand against it. I haven't been able to spread my courage to anybody else, but I still stand.
Oh, they see it. It's just that they react to it differently than I did.
Well, it scares the shit out of them.
I see it, and I take courage. I
I
am
think-
so encouraged when I find somebody else that knows and will stand their ground and do this. It
I think
really
I
has a lot of
scare
good
more
effect.
people than anything else.
Well, some people see it, and it pisses them off.
Well, and I will
because
see somebody
they won't do it.
who posts something
They know
about,
you're right.
you know, somebody like wearing the eye ranger eye mask, the Lone Ranger.
Oh,
Okay. Back when this shit first started about masking, and they're like, "What? I'm wearing a mask," and somebody I know like, "Oh, I wish I had the courage to do that." Come to the store with me. I'll come with me. Oh,
it would never go against the social grain or the Zeet guys.
I mean, and I didn't care about following the arrows.
Oh yeah, and,
And you know what-
stand here.
And
Don't sit there.
What really hit me was, it's like nobody seemed to notice all those things seemed red. All the stores had them. We can get our arrows. We can get our red dots. Stand here.
They didn't have a shortage of those, even
They
though
didn't.
everybody had to have them at once.
And every fucking country needed them. But boom, they were everywhere.
And there wasn't a plexiglass shortage.
Nope.
They were geared up for it. Now the shortage is everything else.
I'm like, hello.
Toilet paper.
Can you guys not see that this was organized?
Like the color revolutions. Everybody has a spontaneous. This just happened this morning, and you look at the camera. The camera goes out to the crowd, and they've all got ready-made signboards in English, even though they're in Egypt or Ukraine, in English, because it's for your consumption, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
And the signs are all the same. They aren't homemade signs. They were manufactured somewhere and distributed to people.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the same thing that happened here. It's color revolution technology is also in the pandemic. It was planned, orchestrated. Everything's prepared. They didn't forget anything. They thought about everything. But it still didn't work.
And then they just slip it into the programming, the 24-hour news programming, and then you believe it.
There's an antidote to the programming, and one of them is to watch and listen to Jessica Rose and others. And we'll have the links. And that's another thing I wanted to address. I'd never heard of her. I'd never heard of Gordon Hood. I've been at this for a long time, although I've been mostly in the political sphere, but I was really in the medical tyranny sphere too. I mean, I'm studying this stuff and learning as much as I can, but there's little spots of, I mean, you meet somebody and they say, "You mean you haven't heard of this person?" You haven't heard of people that I know.
Right.
I mean, because there's a lot of different polls of, there's lots of different points of people that are standing up to it, people that are telling the truth, people that are doing research, they're drawing people like a magnet, they're doing videos or doing lectures, talks and writing.
Well, she can't. I mean,
They're everywhere.
She's in Canada. She can't I mean, she can't. Well, I suppose she could.
Well,
leave
she's
the
doing
country.
videos.
I'll help her leave the country. Anyways, yes.
Well, my point being, there's a bunch of different things. You haven't heard of all of them. There's lots that we
you're
haven't heard
aware-
of yet.
You're aware of Owen Benjamin and
Oh,
what
yeah.
he's doing.
Mm-hmm. I was there. I found him before all this happened with the him standing up against the transgender children crap and getting blackballed.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching him. Well, I was not that big of a fan. I thought he's funny. He's a nice guy, smart fella. He's a giant. And this thing happened, and I watched it happen. I watched him get blackballed, and I was watching him all the time and watching him develop and grow. It's I'm proud of him, you know, because I thought he was kind of immature and typical comedian, you know. And he grew out of that and became a real beacon to people that drew people. Now you have Beartaria.
Right.
If you don't know about Beartaria, I'm going to put links of that too.
Yep.
The Bear Trail and Beartaria, it's brilliant. And this guy grew into that. He's still a comedian. And I don't agree with him about everything. I still think he's pretty immature, but I like the guy. I'd like to hang out with him. But he's too big now. I used to write him. I used to correspond. I supported him a little bit when he first started going through this stuff, when I could. And you need to adopt people, little people that are telling the truth. And it's like having children. And you can be a part of it. It's a beautiful thing.
I just like what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's good at organizing, and he has people helping him too.
He does have people.
Good network, good crew.
He does.
You have to have that.
But he's doing amazing things, and I think his network is so vast that you can't kill an idea.
Mm-mm.
And his network represents a really strong idea, I believe.
Lots of young people in the Beartaria thing. I haven't been in it for a while.
There's some older people too. I mean, there's just a range of people.
Lots of millennials, I guess you call them, attracted to it, and they want a homestead. They want to plant gardens. They want to raise livestock. They want to have self-sufficiency in a community, and they're working toward organizing the ways to do that. Mm-hmm. And that's freaking brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good resource if you are interested in those sort of things, which you should be. Uncle Billy thinks you should be.
Yeah.
Uncle Billy needs to find something.
I mean, and there's like Joel Salatin.
No, I never heard of her. Joel. You see, there's all these points that I've never heard of, and I probably know some that you've never heard.
Joel.
Joel. Okay.
Salatin. Salatin. Well, he's an author. He's been farming over in Virginia for years. He kind of like took over the family farm from his dad, and does things natural. He doesn't fight nature. He's regrown his soil health, but they run animals through it. They guard anyway, and they have in the summer they run like an internship where they'll accept 10 interns who work the farm, and they see how they do things, and then some go and will start their own farms. So he's I'm trying to think if he's maybe a little bit older than we are, but
I'll look it up.
So he's written, he'll be like one of his books is like, folks, this ain't normal.
Oh, okay.
And which was the title of his, so like factory farming chickens and shit like that. I mean, he's gone through so many things. He hasn't, but in saying that's not sustainable. How he does is sustainable.
The industrial farming of all kinds is horrifying.
I mean, he has videos on how they kill and process their chickens on the farm, and he does it. He sells them. They have a store on the farm. They'll blah blah blah. They're excellent videos. I adore him. I adore reading what he has to write.
We'll put links in. We'll check it out. And this is just going to be link heavy. And there's going to be a lot of Uncle Billy's going to give you some assignments. Don't watch television. Don't watch your shows. Well, most of my people don't. I was going to say, yeah. But still, and I'm hoping to get really viral and new people are going to watch it, and I could tell them, don't watch your shows, watch this. But anyway, share the stuff with people that watch television. But we'll put all those links in there. My cousin's wife was raised on a commercial poultry farm back when you had independent people doing that outside of Tyson. And when she was a little girl, one of her jobs as a very young child, she just go in and collect all the dead chicks because they die, lots of them. And she gets a bucket full of dead chicks and goes out and dumps them in the pile behind the place to let them rot. It'd take a couple of weeks for them to break down into soil. And then after the modified chickens and the GMO food and the hormone things that make them go fat, and the breeds of chickens that get huge real quick on very little feed, and she collect those things and go out there and throw them out, and by the end of the day they're gone. They just rot and disintegrate, turn into soil in like one day. The structure's different. The structure of the meat is completely different. It rots faster.
That doesn't sound like that would be like really good for soil.
No, doesn't sound like it'd be really good to eat either.
Oh, exactly.
They're making things, creating things because they just explode and get really big with very little feed. So what's there? How'd they do that? It's not natural. They're engineering things. This is better. It makes more profit. The only criteria, profit.
Right.
Make more profit with these chickens.
Right.
You can feed them absolute garbage, and they develop overnight, and half the time that a regular chicken does. That's going to be really good to eat, isn't it? And now they got a way around that. They can make stuff out of, embryonic cell cultures and
3D
bugs.
print.
3D print stuff. And you're going to eat it? Really? They want to make you eat it. They want to eliminate all the other choices and all the other options.
Well,
it all ties together.
It does all tie together.
Pandemic, Ukraine, the food industry, the FDA, the pharmaceutical industry. Where'd polio come from? Go.
DDT?
Yeah, I think it was before DDT. They made pesticides.
Before.
In the 1880s, they started making these pesticides that were based on neurological nerve agents.
Okay, when was polio first officially diagnosed?
I don't know. I don't know. You probably know more about it than I do. But it's probably before or after DDT, probably. Huh? When did DDT? I thought DDT was invented in the Second World War or just before it.
Well,
must have been earlier. We'll have to look that up. Or you can look it up.
You know what? I'm not an educator.
We can't remember everything.
I read and see so much.
It's not our job.
It's not no.
But
fuck no.
We get people thinking.
I mean,
prove me wrong.
To a local person. Now, this was before any of this bullshit happened. So we're talking 5-6 years ago. And I had said...
She was woke 5 or 6 years ago. She was.
Well, whatever. And I said something about vaccines. Well, but polio. And I'm like, we still have polio today. It's just called different.
They call it different things.
They just call it different things. And I said, and they're like, and she was like, but the iron lungs. And I'm like, oh, they're on the portable ventilators now. And
40s technology. Guess what? They don't use it.
Kids who have been severely harmed with vaccinations have to have these modified wheelchairs that haul their oxygen. So they're just not, iron lung in bed. They can take the iron lung with them.
It's a mobile plastic lung.
And I'm like, the same shit's going on. It's just given a different name.
They doused poor neighborhoods and stuff with these pesticides that Shell Oil chemical companies produced that had mercury, cyanide, arsenic, strychnine, nerve agents in them because the slums where all the immigrants were, they had lice and rats and everything, and they were going to spread diseases and pestilence, and they got governments big on the idea of buying all this stuff and just dousing the areas with it. And then rich people in their resorts, they doused their areas with it too because they wanted to be safe. And then the children started having polio, which is a nerve problem. And then what are you going to do if you're a big chemical company that's been doing all that? Are you going to take liability, or are you going to say, oh, wait, we're going to get funding for research and find out what's happening. Oh, guess what? It's a virus, and we are going to work on a cure.
Exactly.
Freaking well right. And who came up with that cure? Jonas Salk. Have you read his book, Survival of the Wisest?
No.
Oh, brother. He wrote a book called, well, just with the title, Survival of the Wisest, where mankind needs to take control of their evolution and guide it instead of letting nature and natural forces guide it. We have people that are so freaking smart that they can decide how we're going to evolve and what we're going to evolve to. That's basically the crux of the book. And he talks about vaccines in them too. And he's the inventor of the polio vaccine. It's a wicked book. It's a globalist book. Jay Dyer has a website. And he has lots of stuff going on, but he has a series of globalist books. He reads this stuff for you, so you don't have to, but you can go read it too. But you can have his analysis of books written by globalists for the last 50 years.
He's one that I have not watched.
Jay Dyer?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good resource because
okay.
all the stuff that's going on now, there's been books written about it by people 100 years ago even have planned this stuff.
Right.
If they had Davos 100 years ago, they would have went there. Aldous Huxley was one of them.
Well,
all these people. You could read their books and see it.
So 100 years ago, they had Jekyll Island that they could go to. They didn't need Davos. They had Jekyll Island. They had places that they were going to back then. They did.
I was just trying to put a handle on who they are and equivalent to who we have today doing that. And they've written books. They've got a paper trail.
What's Jay Dyer's story?
He went to, I think, seminary school. He's Orthodox. Theologian. I would call him a theologian. He studied theology. He's on, he's co-hosting or guest hosting Alex Jones a lot, so that turns a lot of people off. But then I don't care.
But he didn't do that.
Be a platform. That's not what he did that after he became a heavy in explaining orthodoxy, debating Catholics and Muslims and other people over the logical consistency of orthodoxy, and globalist books. And I think the main thing he does is dissecting media, movies, and books. There's esoteric meaning to all the movies you watch.
So he's based in America?
Yeah.
Okay.
You see, people find things in movies that are happening now, movies that they had years ago.
Right.
They had these little hints and stuff.
Right.
He examines and takes that apart, and they do that. I mean,
absolutely.
The people have it put in the movie what's going to happen, what they have planned for 8 years down the road. I couldn't say it's proven, but you look at some of the stuff, it's undeniable.
Which is what some take to be predictive programming.
That's what I couldn't remember the name. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I should have just deferred to you.
Exactly.
You're better at remembering things.
Well, I wouldn't say that at all.
Well, sometimes. You fill in the gaps. Predictive programming.
Every now and then I'm able to pull something right out of the memory bank.
I've watched Jay a lot. Outro, 777, I'm familiar with that. I used to watch that quite a bit. I think they've interviewed each other and stuff, haven't they?
I have no
Pro
idea.
Guy? Yeah.
They've
got a good site. It's pretty good. I like it. I haven't been there a lot. There's just so many. I don't have time.
See, and I know. See, that's the thing. The good thing about the past 2.5 years has been, it's been so exciting. In just like boom, there's just an explosion of shit you can learn. I mean,
if you want to learn instead of watching television.
Okay. If you want to learn, it is also overwhelming at this sheer amount.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to then. There's so much that you kind of have to. Oh God.
And you got to be self-disciplined.
You know, what am I going to, and I'm going to have to stay away from this, and I'm going to have to do this, and I'm going to blah, blah, blah. So anyways, but Crow, the one thing I like, because he had Andrew Kaufman on,
mm-hmm.
But what I really like is they've had a wide variety of people who have taken the time, done the work to stand their ground. Mm-hmm. Normal people, housewives, farmers, truck drivers, normal people, not fucking lawyers.
Not elites.
Who learned how to stand their ground. They've got a whole, when you go to the site, click, and it'll be medical, legal, or lawful, whatever they call it.
Doing your own law, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the lawyers just throw you under the bus. I used to hang out with elite lawyers in Houston. I've had a weird life. My first wife was, both her sisters are paralegals at one of the former firms, or premier firms, and would invite us to the bar where they all hung out in parties and stuff, and I just sit there like a fly on the wall, listen to them. And what they do is throw you under the bus. They just take your money and throw you under the bus and laugh at you, most of them.
Yeah, okay, I really don't give a shit what they do. I hate lawyers.
Well, it's an interesting
with
thing,
a passion. Because what I've learned by watching and listening to regular people, we, normal people, we can do more things in a courtroom than lawyers can.
The lawyer's not going to offend the judge. He's got other things going. He's not going to advocate your case if it pisses a judge off. Because he's got this other stuff going. So he just takes your money and throws you under the bus. Right. Like I said, that's what they do. And they laugh about it. They think it's funny.
Right. Because it's a game.
Mm-hmm.
To them,
they're making money.
They don't give a shit. One of the things I thought that occurred to me when I was going through legal things years ago was I could see that they thought it was a game. Mm-hmm. They just didn't realize I stood the chance of losing everything. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't a game to me. It was my life.
It's the core of your life now.
You know, fuckers. Anyways, so I hate lawyers with a passion that I usually reserve for, I don't know what. I should let it go.
We're on video now, so calm down.
I'm calm.
Well, I know. Be circumspect. So I guess we can wind up because we're running out of time. I wind up usually takes 20 minutes anyway, though, because I keep thinking of things. And I just thought of something that went away. Must have been very important. Crow 777, Jay Dyer, Joel Salatin. I'm going to check that out because I don't remember it. I may have never seen him before. I love finding things I've never seen before, and they've been there all this time.
Because he's been doing that farm for
There's
years
just so
and
much.
years, and like I don't know what he's written 5, 6, 7 books over the years. He didn't just start doing it 3 years ago. He's been doing it a long time. And he teaches people how to train your chickens when you're moving them around. And I mean, he's good.
Good information. You're going to need chickens and gardening.
No matter what your little municipality says.
Yeah. All right. We'll call that good enough, and I hope you enjoyed it. This is Uncle Bildy and his friend signing out.
Bye.